Good afternoon. My name is Victor Mikolajczyk, and this is Nicholas Berzato.
Hi.
We will be your TED Talk hosts. What is slavery? Slavery is when someone is forced to work without pay, under threat of violence, and unable to walk away. Let me tell you a little bit of facts about slavery. There are 27 million slaves across the world at this point, in the 21st century. Slavery is illegal everywhere, in every single country across the world, and yet there is a huge industry of slave trade. Slave trade rivals only drugs in revenue per year. The majority of slaves can be found in India and African countries. However, there are slaves across the globe in every country. There are slaves in Canada, there are slaves in the United States, there are slaves in France, in England, in Poland, in Italy, anywhere that you can think of, there is a slave trade. Each year, thousands of people are trafficked into the US to be sold as sex workers, as restaurant workers, as sweatshop workers, as places where they can be exploited for monetary gain. Human trafficking is the modern-day slave trade. In fact, there are more slaves today than there ever was in the history of the world. We can end slavery. But to end slavery, we need to be aware of this problem. My friend Nicholas Berzato and our co-host will explain to you one thing that happened in our own backyard. Take it away, Nicholas.
We often picture human traffickers as criminals, older men, who abuse of the rights of younger children to make profit off of them. But no more than 9 months ago, a story that happened in Gatineau proves us wrong. A trio of young girls, aged 15 and 16, were involved into human trafficking. With social media, they lured 3 other girls into a home in a housing project in Gatineau. There, the 3 girls were traded as sex laborers and were forced to have sex with older men for the profit gains of the 3 other girls. Police even believes that drugs could have been involved in this story. This is revolting to see that such thing could happen in our society, and raises the point that we do not fully understand the motivations of those people. Victor, what are your thoughts on this story?
It's revolting. What I think is that a good point we can raise is the demographic of sex trades, and the demographic of the sex traders isn't necessarily the wealthy people or the poor people. It can be anyone in any neighborhood. For instance, someone in a high school could be involved in the sex trafficking. Someone at home, even someone in your family could be involved in the human trafficking trade. This is terrible. No matter where you come from, you can be exposed. And this exposes the most vulnerable people out there. These 13, 12-year-old girls could have been beaten at home. They could have been had parental issues. They could have had drug issues. And maybe that's why they were lured so ruthlessly by these other girls that were willing to exploit them for profit. So I think this is a very saddening story. And it shows the level at which our society is truly corrupt.
Yes, very well. Thank you. Eat my dick. But that's the level of awareness of our immediate entourage. We established a series of simple questions on human trafficking. When did human slavery disappear?
Action.
1981. I learned that in school.
Slavery, I think slavery disappeared in the 1980s.
It was only recently abolished.
Even though slavery has been abolished, how many slaves do you think there are around the globe?
I think there are 1 million slaves around the world.
Yeah, there's probably still thousands of slaves.
About 100,000.
Now, we will do a quick and simple exercise. I will ask each and every one of you to pull out their wallet and check how much money they have on them. Chances are you probably have around $15 on you.
And with $15 for a class of 30, you can buy almost 5 slaves. Because the cost of a slave in the world today is only $90. This cost is a significant reduction from the price that they were during the African slave trade. They were much more expensive back then, and a human life has become a commodity in the eyes of many people, rather than...
Indeed, human traffickers who use the slaves in fields, brothels, mines, restaurants, and even homes, they see them as a valueless object who can be traded anytime and bought for as less as $90.
We can see this example clearly in India, where the slave trade happens openly on the streets and everywhere, where children are forced to work and are taken and are abducted from families for simple monetary gain. This happens everywhere. We are all exposed, and we must all do something about it. Do you think we can do something about it?
Yes!
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
There are important steps each and every one of us can take to help reduce human slavery across the globe. Some of these steps have been listed by Pact Ottawa. First step we can all take is to try and educate others about this problem. Get the information out there. If people know that this problem exists, they will try and do something about it.
On this note, you can send letters to your MPs and other government representatives to make them take actions against slavery.
This is true. And another thing you can do is try and promote gender equality and promote human rights for all. It is things like sexist jokes and sexist slurs and the use of wrong language that influences negative actions across the globe. Little things like that can also help end human slavery.
Another thing you can do is use your consumer power wisely and justly. Every time you go shopping, you can look for the Fair Trade Certified logo, which ensures that the workers have been paid properly and worked in healthy conditions.
But it is not only big businesses and large labels that contribute to helping end slavery. It is also student-run businesses like Casablanca, founded by Mr. Nicholas Brizzato, that help end slavery. He has pledged to donate all proceeds from his shirt sales in December to freetheslaves.net. This act truly demonstrates the will of generous people to donate and to help others.
Finally, the empowerment of women and children is a crucial part in the fight against human trafficking, as they are one of the most vulnerable demographics in our world.
Empower our youth to make a change.